Rumor has it.
Pretty big show. I'm liking the look of this UFC 241 show. We're gonna hit you guys with betting odds. I got 5 on it. A look at how things are for this weekend, and man, the contrast of the last couple of weeks. Now the prelims are chock full of fights that not a lot of people of guys not a lot of people know. You have Sabina Mazo at plus 115, Shayna Dobson a minus 135 over her, Brandon Davis a plus 155, while Kyung Hyo Kang is a minus 175. Hannah Seifers a minus 265, while Jodie Esquibel is a plus 225. Drakkar Klose a minus 200, while Christos Giagos is a plus 170. Casey Kenny and Manny Bermudez a little bit closer. Manny is a minus 125, while Casey Kenny is a plus 105. You have a giant line, one of the biggest lines you'll see these days for a non-title fight even. A minus 800 for Devontae Smith, plus 550 Clay Collard. You have Sodiq Yusuff a minus 270, Gabriel Benitez a plus 230. What fights, what lines stand out to you here before we get into some of the more well-known fighters?
I like the Sadiq Yusuf fight against Benitez. Did I miss something here? I mean, Sadiq's good. I called his fight. I know he lost when I called it, but he's a fantastic fighter. But so is Benitez. Benitez is pretty good. And it's not like he's garbage, right?
Yeah.
So it's that line seems fairly separated to me. I'm picking Sadiq. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts. It just seems that maybe there's value on Benitez. That one line with Clay Collard and Devontae Smith. Woo! I mean, that might just be on Sean Ross Sapp's I Got 5 on it, because that's a big, big line. Lots of love for Hannah Seifers, ladies and gentlemen. Took a while. Told y'all she's nuts. I mean, she's crazy. If I tell you the stories about her, catching squirrels with her hands and any sort of animals in the big, huge ranch forest that she lives in, and cooks them herself and skins them. I mean, she's tough. I'll just say that. It's tougher than me, Sean. That's for sure.
Yeah, I like the look of this prelim show even. Like, there's some good fights on there. I will probably have to put 5 on Clay Collard just for the sake of it, but do I think Devontae Smith is going to win? You damn right I do. This is somebody that has to be watched out for. I think that Hannah Seifers, am I pronouncing her name right? Hannah Seifers.
Hannah Seifers.
Hannah Seifers, damn it, is one worth looking at as well. I like this. The Casey Kenny Mandy Bermudez fight, I think, is going to be very good. I got my eyes on that as well. Mandy Bermudez 14-0, man. That's something. If you can get that far, as long as you're not fighting in like Explode Fight Series or something, that's something I take notice of. And he's 3-0 in the UFC. He was able to beat Davey Grant and Benito Lopez as well. I remember he had that debut against Morales where he choked him out in the second round, and he's been doing that all along the way. He did it to get into the UFC, and he's continued that. I mean, he got into the company based on 2 choke finishes at Cage Titans, and he just continued to reinforce his reputation. Then we get to some of
the distance once too.
Yeah. Then we get to some of the more well-known names, and boy, there are plenty of good ones. Derek Brunson, a plus 130. Ian Heinisch, a minus 150. This line is right where I think it should be, because Ian Heinisch is on the come-up, but Derek Brunson is really unpredictable in a lot of different ways, Joe. You don't know what Derek Brunson you're going to get. You might get somebody who just has no semblance of a game plan, or just a bad one, or you might get a really gritty, powerful fighter.
Yeah, Derek Brunson's like some of the teams, I guess, from, your NFL football. It's like the Oakland Raiders. You just never know, like, who's going to show up here, right? So,
yeah, that's the issue here. And Ian Heinisch is very good, man. But so is Derek Brunson. I like Derek Brunson, but when he runs with his hands down and his chin up at somebody, I'm like, that's not a good idea. And for a guy who beat Shoeface like Ian Heinisch did, which surprised me, I thought Shoeface was going to win that. And Heinisch has stepped in after the winning on Contender Series like just a year ago. And he's had a couple of really good fights. And if he beats Brunson, he's going to launch into that top 15, top 10 talk. And we're going to be mentioning his name a hell of a lot more. I'll tell you a fight that nobody is talking about that I'm excited for. Rafael Assunção at plus 150. Corey Sandhagen a minus 170. Interesting line here. A little bit closer. Sandhagen is the shiny new toy, Joe. Rafael Assunção, though, is that reliable one that's been there with you forever, has proven himself. How do you think this goes?
It's going to be a tough one. I mean, the line with minus 170, I think you're going to put some value on Assunção. He may be able to use his veteran savvy to basically, control Cody Sandhagen, which is not easy to do, but perhaps not put himself in too much danger where a knockout can happen. So this could be the beginning of the changing of the guard of this division, right? So, I mean, Sandhagen at minus 170, damn good fighter. Assunção, veteran savvy. He's going to have to use all that savvy to control Sandhagen and not put himself in too much danger.
In all due respect to Assunção, I remember when we started this podcast, one of my big questions as he returned the week that we launched the website was, how is Rafael Assunção's footwork going to be after missing almost 2 years? Yeah. And when he had that severe ankle injury at 135, that can prove to be bad. Hey, since then he's only lost to Marlon Moraes and TJ Dillashaw. He's beaten Aljamain Sterling. He beat Marlon Moraes. We'll just throw those little fingers up there. He beat Matt Lopez and Rob Font, but those concerns are gone for me. I'm not worried about his footwork. I'm not worried about his speed because of his ankle injury. Now we're just at the point to where he's 37 years old, and I'm worried about his footwork and his speed because of that. Because he's not 33, 34 anymore. He's not in the prime of his career anymore, as much as he would like to be. Sandhagen, on the other hand, he's a 27-year-old who just went the distance with John Lineker, had to withstand some stuff there. He knows how to finish. He can finish on the ground. He can finish on the feet. He's a very versatile guy. And if Sandhagen wins, this is a launching pad, and a major one. Because if he wins, I don't want to see Frankie Edgar jump in the line. All due respect to Frankie Edgar. You know the UFC would be like, 1 or 2 wins at 135, Frankie. Get yourself a title shot. I don't want to see it. Not over guys like Sandhagen, who have come into the company, beaten guys like Alcantara and John Lineker, and maybe Assunção. I think that would say a lot about him. You also have, my God, Joe. Paulo Costa plus 125. Yoel Romero minus 145. Hear me out. Think there's some value on Yoel Romero at minus 145. Possibly. That's assuming he makes the weight, gets in there healthy, and is good to go. This is a couple of Adonises physically. How will that play out?
Don't text me. Don't call me. Don't WhatsApp me. Don't message me. Allow me the right to be a fan.
What's your
MySpace? This is one of 2 fights, especially on this card. Just leave me alone. I want to be a fan, right? Like, this is just going to be disgusting, right? Who knows when these 2 tanks, it's just going to be. I don't know, man. I'm so looking forward to it. Costa's that new breed. Romero's a superhuman. Who knows what's going to happen here? Something's got to give. I mean, it has the potential to both guys respecting each other too much to be a boring fight, but Romero's been out of action. He needs to do something to remain really relevant in this division. And Costa, these guys have been talking trash to each other, right? So, yeah, let these guys go. I'm looking forward to it.
Romero does not have a unanimous decision win since 2014. He went the distance with Jacare, and that was a split decision. But he has been known to get a little bit tired, Joe. That being said, Paulo Costa has not fought in over a year. Since 2018 started, he has fought 1 time. Also, Joe, he does not go. We've never seen him go the distance. We've never seen him go to the 3rd round.
Yeah.
This could be a very sad 3rd round to watch if it goes that far.
True.
If Paulo Costa wins, the UFC throws him into the conversation of title challenger immediately. Correct?
100%.
If Yoel Romero wins, what does that do for him? Because he's lost to Whitaker twice.
Yeah. Nada. You're a gatekeeper now.
Like, maybe if Adesanya wins, they could throw him in there eventually.
Sorry. I shouldn't say he's a gatekeeper. What I'm trying to say is the fact that you've defeated or you've lost to the champion twice, you're not getting a title shot anytime soon until you string off at least 2 or 3 wins in what might have to be spectacular fashion. You know what I'm saying? Like 3 wins to decisions may get you a title shot. 2 or 3 wins, or at least 2 or 3 wins with finishes, maybe. More than maybe. Let's just say that.
This is an integral fight in this division. Because like I said, if Adesanya beats Whitaker later this year, Romero, if he wins, is right back in the mix because he's not fought Israel Adesanya.
Yep.
If Romero loses 205, hit the bricks, go to 205. That's the move. That's the smart thing to do. If Costa wins, he's right in the title picture. If he loses, well, then nobody's going to hold it against him losing to Yoel Romero. I don't think that will be that much of an issue in that regard. But this is a hell of a fight. Who are you taking in this one, though? And in the Sandhagen Assunção fight, I want your picks for these main card fights.
I'm going to go with Yoel Romero in this fight here. Although, everyone knows my thoughts with Paulo Costa. The very first time I saw him, I texted Elias Theodoro and said, dude, you better be paying attention to this kid. You might be running into him. So
yeah,
maybe it's not Costa's time just yet. I'll go with Romero. Totally won't be surprised if Costa destroys him. Just is what it is. The Sandhagen and Assunção fight, hard for me to go against any Assunção brother. But Corey Sandhagen, I think, will be just that much quicker. He'll pick him apart. This one, I think, will go the distance, and he'll win 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards.
Anthony Showtime Pettis at -130. Nate Diaz a +110. Nate Diaz has not fought in 3 years. I cannot believe this line is so close right now with the layoff that Nate Diaz has had. I think that Anthony Pettis is going to win this and win it fairly easily, Joe. I think that he could and should pour it on because I'll say this. I think that Nate Diaz's cardio is probably still there. The Diaz brothers get in there. They like to fight. They like to scrap. That's what they do. However, I don't know if his reaction time is going to be there. I don't know if his ability to react to some of Pettis' combos are going to be there. I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
There's never value on anyone that's a minus whatever. Mm-hmm. There's no guaranteed locks in mixed martial arts, in any sport whatsoever. Unless Anthony Pettis mentally checks out before this fight and is intimidated by a guy like Nate Diaz, which I completely doubt he can be because you're a professional fighter who was once a world champion, Anthony Pettis wins this fight.
Yeah, I'm
only saying that based on your breakdown as well. Nate Diaz has not competed in a long time. You got to be fresh. You got to be able to it's a different story when these guys are doing triathlons nonstop and they're training in the gym nonstop, but you got to be fight fit ready. It's a different type of fight fit ready. And then again, Nate Diaz is just a fighter's fighter. He might be able to bully Anthony Pettis, and Anthony Pettis is like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? If Nate Diaz wins, that post-fight interview is going to be ridiculous. Absolutely and utterly ridiculous. That is a fact. If Anthony Pettis wins and he finishes him, it'll still be crazy in there. So we'll see.
I never believed that a Diaz brother is going to fight until I see him in the cage these days. That's it. What have they done to make me think that it's gonna happen, Joe? Until that happens, I don't believe that one of them won't get pissed off and not fight. I mean, Nate Diaz hasn't fought anybody besides Conor McGregor since 2015. Has Nick Diaz fought anybody since Anderson Silva? It's been 5.5 years.
No, I had some interesting conversations yesterday regarding Nick Diaz with a friend of mine talking about Colby Covington. And Colby Covington, can he get Conor McGregor or can he get Nick Diaz?
Oh, God, I think Colby Covington would beat the living shit out of Nick Diaz.
Right? It's a big fight, though. That would have to fight. That would have to be a 185, right? So. Yeah.
If I were to set the betting lines on Nick Diaz and Colby Covington, I'd put Colby Covington at a minus 450, 500. That's how far.
Wow.
Nick Diaz has struggled against wrestlers. Really, both the Diaz brothers have.
Yeah.
I mean, I said that for years about Nick Diaz, and I'm like, all right, cool. The run with Coker is all fine and dandy, but not when you got a bunch of guys who can't really shoot a double leg or push you up against the cage and drag you down. The guys that Nick Diaz was beating during that era was like Frank Shamrock, all due respect to him, well past his prime. Scott Smith, Zaromsky, Sakurai, KJ Noon, Cyborg, Paul Daly. And then he got over to the UFC and he lost a bunch of fights. It didn't surprise me. And it won't surprise me to see Nate Diaz lose on Saturday night. Am I glad that Nate Diaz is back? You damn right I am. And apparently fans are too, because you look at the way that the traffic numbers are trending for articles about these fights.
The following, man.
The UFC videos, like, there's triple the interest in Pettis versus Diaz as Miocic versus Cormier, which we'll talk about in a moment. That is a true testament to Nate Diaz's drawing power. And quite frankly, I don't know that Nate really had that before the promo where he called out Conor McGregor. Here's the thing. When he called out Conor McGregor, I was like, this guy's delusional. Because I saw the web traffic numbers back then. And they weren't there for Nate Diaz. They were for Nick, but not for Nate. When he cut that promo, it made him, in that regard, in a lot of fans' eyes. Because there was this groundswell of people who did not like Conor McGregor, but may have liked some of the behavior that he put forth. And they got that behavior out of a different guy. And it was magical. And since then, Nate Diaz has only had to fight Conor McGregor until this moment. Brilliance in that. But we do have a main event, Joe. And it's a damn good one. Daniel Cormier, who I can't tell, I am thrilled that he didn't retire at age 40. I'm stoked that he didn't retire at age 40. Getting the rematch against Stipe Miocic, obviously, Miocic always has a chance. Daniel Cormier is one of the greatest fighters I've ever seen in my life. Stipe Miocic, one of the greatest heavyweight fighters I've ever seen in my life. However, I feel like if Daniel Cormier had not moved to 205 pounds, we'd be talking about him as the undisputed greatest heavyweight of all time. Better than Fedor, better than Cain Velasquez, better than Stipe Miocic, better than any of them. I want to know what you think of Daniel Cormier's legacy, what could have been a heavyweight, before we get into this fight.
First of all, DC all day, every day. All right? I think DC wins this fight here. And taking nothing away from Stipe Miocic, but Stipe Miocic, he hasn't competed since he lost the title in 2018. It's been over a year. And that was a first-round finish. I think it'll be a completely different fight. DC will likely have more work to do in this fight here, but it's going to get to the point when DC is going to want to take him down. He'll take him down, and he'll control him on the ground if he has to. It won't be easy to take down Stipe because Stipe is a brick house, excuse me. But I think Daniel Cormier does emerge victorious in this fight here, and we all know that this was supposed to be the Cormier versus Brock Lesnar show, right? This was the event here. It didn't happen. Miocic is in there. It is what it is for Cormier. But in terms of Cormier's legacy, he's going to go down as a contestant or a name in the GOAT category one day. He will, with the only asterisk being John Jones. That is it.
What I don't like is a champion getting beaten, especially via first-round finish, and then getting an immediate title fight. However, where I gain some leeway is the fact that Stipe Miocic, on paper, was the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time, in that he defended his title more consecutively than anybody else. That's why I wasn't thrilled that Joanna Jędrzejczyk got her rematch immediately, but you could not dispute that she deserved it in that she built that division. Miocic didn't build this division, but he did beat Ngannou, who obviously is still very good. He beat Dos Santos. He beat Verdum. He beat Overeem. He even beat Arlovsky and Mark Hunt back in the day. He beat Roy Nelson. He's got a lot of great wins. I think DC's going to take this. I'm not going to be surprised if Miocic does. Miocic is 36 years old. He'll be 37 this weekend. That is still a relative... That's a heavyweight prime age right there, Joe. He's still got a lot of years if he wants them. We could probably see Stipe Miocic fighting in 2025, and it wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me a bit. He is a plus 125. Cormier is a minus 145. I think this line is exactly where it is. I think that Cormier gets underneath Miocic this time and takes him down. I think that's where the fight ends. I think that Miocic ends up turtled up as he scrambles and ends up catching some punches. And here's the thing. I don't doubt that Cormier may end up there as well. I don't doubt that Cormier could get clipped, dropped, and finished. This is a very intriguing fight to me, and I'm glad that it's happening. What I'm also glad that is happening is the I got 5 on it picks. Clay Collard at a plus 550 just because. There aren't a lot of easy picks on this one. Gabriel Benitez a plus 230. You had mentioned that one earlier, Joe. I like that one as well. I would have that line much closer. I do give the edge to Youssef, but it's still a little bit too wide for me. Also, Brandon Davis a plus 155, though it's not a big line. Still give him a little bit of a chance. Joe, I will be here right after the show Saturday to talk to all of you guys. But I want you guys to go over to youtube.com/FightfulMMABoxing. This is where I post individual fight reviews with a little clickbaity title. Gotta do it. We got interviews. We got boxing podcasts when they go up. We got clips from this show. We got a lot going on. Joe, but what do you have going on this week?
Well, pretty obvious. Leaving Thursday for Japan, Nagoya. Got to stop over Detroit. Head over to Nagoya and vice versa on the way back. Colin Rise in 18. It's going to be a fantastic show. Make sure you follow me on social media, Joe A. Ferraro, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But most of my stuff will be on Instagram. Make sure you check my stories. I'll try and post some crazy stuff or as much stuff as I can, especially because some of the meals that we have are unknown meat products until they tell me afterwards. Thankfully, I've been pretty safe up until now. But yeah, call on that. And then you know how it is. Work, and soccer.
So this just in, Clay Collard, according to MMA Fighting, off the show. So a man by the name of Karma Worthy is stepping up.
Karma Worthy?
And you know what? I'm going to take him and I got 5 on it. I always like a last-minute replacement in some of those. You never know who could be the next Viviane Arajau. You just don't know. Well, I know that I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you guys so much. Leave a thumbs up. Follow Joe at Joe A. Ferraro. Follow me at Sean Ross Sapp. Follow us at Fightful MMA. If you're not in those live coverages, you're missing out. We have hundreds, if not thousands of comments. We will have over 1,000 comments in this weekend's show. So make sure you guys join us. Until next time, we're out.